Yikes, you're throwing it towards camera equipment.
That's fine, it's in the tripod bag. It's fine.
Fair.
Feels so much more natural. Right, shall we go again?
Yes.
Hello, I'm Hoff on the ShadowsReign A1A YouTube channel, and you might notice that things look a little bit different. Well, today we are going to have a bit of a setup tour and show you exactly how I make my YouTube videos. This video will feel and look a little bit off the cuff, and that's because it is. And the reason it is because I am shooting this on a Sony FX9, and I happen to have this camera for a weekend, just so happen to be looking after it, so you're going to be damn right I make the most of it. So let's get right into it. So to understand where we're going, you have got to first understand where we came from. This channel started in a shared bedroom, not very much space for any audio gear, having to rock two screens where one's like that and one's like that. And then eventually when I did do a 3-screen setup, one also went to my right as well, which did make things a bit easier for making videos. However, it was a very, very cramped environment, and again, it was a shared space. So we moved out into this place. I did make a video about that, and this room was initially a gym. I had no plans for lighting because I had this dartboard up here, and this dartboard up here was my main source of key lighting because of the white wall there, or the beige wall there. It did make that light bounce a little bit more in my face. Not loads, but some. Then in June, as you may have heard in the 600 subscribers thank you video, I bought some lights. To be specific, we used these lights, and these lights were fantastic because not only did they give me a good key light, but when you put that over an umbrella, it made a nice even lighting, which is exactly what I needed at the time. But then I kind of upgraded my setup a little bit. I then went for these lights here, which are Amaran P60Cs. Now I'm going to talk about these a little bit more in depth later, but I really do like the fact that they're much smaller than the kit that I initially had. And also, they're a lot brighter as well. And that because they're brighter, I can then darken the webcam settings and get even more quality out of the image, which is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, with the lights, we initially want to go for a 3-point lighting setup. So like I say, we've got the two lights here, which I use for behind the camera. And behind those, we've also got no batteries. We just power them off the mains, and I can control them via my phone. Now, when I control them via my phone, I can do interesting things with them. I can control both of them at once. I can control all 3 lights. We'll talk about that one in a second. I can have nice little effects. I can have paparazzi lights. I can do all sorts. So let's actually talk about what these lights can do and why I bought them as opposed to just using these. So just with these lights in the background here, well, what's usually in the foreground, I can do quite a lot of different things. Now, though I was able to do some of these on the bulbs, I do have a lot more control of it on my phone. Now, these are aperture lights, Amaran lights, which means I use them on the Sidus app. If you're familiar with these lights or you're familiar with filmmaking, you'll already know what this does. But if you're quite new to it and you're just like a casual viewer who's only really here for the COD content and sometimes some A1A players, then yeah, some of you are even here for Connor and Donnie and not even me. So it's alright guys, I know where I stand, it's all fine. The main thing that I need to know about, well, I need to know that you need to know about these though, is that I can do anything I like with the app. So for example, I've got them on 30% intensity, which is usually like more than enough for usual videos, especially on a webcam with a sensor that sensitive. I can change the color temperature of them. So just over here, I've got them doing multiple other things, which is really nice, it's really handy. It's very good. So that's just color temperature. And I've also got a green and magenta shift as well. So if I'm combining these with other lights which have slight LED issues, I can match these up and make them look good. You know what I mean by that. If you watch a YouTube video or a YouTuber, especially with like lower grade equipment, might have better content than me, that's fine. But if they don't have like knowledge on what lights to buy, you will notice that some of their highlights might be a bit green or a bit purple. That's what this magenta shift thing can do. And it can match those with those other lights if necessary. So you're not locked into just using the aperture ecosystem, or the Amaran ecosystem in this case. Another thing I can do, another thing I really enjoy doing with these lights is effects. So I can have it set up so that light doesn't change, and these two lights do. So for example, if I win a game on a Battle Royale, even though I don't really play Battle Royale that much these days, I can have the paparazzi lights, which I've used on stream before, just by scrolling along the right, and I can press start. And you know, it'll start doing the paparazzi lights. I can change the intensity of that epilepsy warning. I can change the color temperature of those lights like I did before, and I can change the frequency of the lights because I'm an absolute baller. So that's kind of one of the things I'm going to do. Again, I can do stuff like fireworks, which is quite cool. So I can have just normal lighting colours. I can basically have multicoloured ones as well if I want to look like a complete prick. I can have a bit of both as well, which is all good. I've got the faulty bulb setting too, which is nice. So that's like a faulty light bulb effect. And then we've got like a lightning effect, epilepsy warning on this one. So I can either just have it doing random shit, or I can trigger it and just have it do it when I press tell it to. And when I tell it to, it will do it. Oh, crap. I've just went to the wrong setting there. You go on the effects preset. More things that I can do with this. For example, a fire. Nice little fire effect there to give me a little bit of accent, as if, you know, if I was going to use these on a bit more of a set or a bit more of a studio kind of vibe, I could. Wouldn't use these particular ones, but I could. And then we've also got, especially for when I'm in a lobby with Trojan and Alec, I've got these lights as well. If you know, you know. But the next thing that we're going to talk about is this Aperture 60D. So, we have got some more lights here. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about these ones again. But this used to be a hair light as well, which was the light behind the chair. The first upgrade I made was replacing this with that. That is an Aperture Lightstorm 60D, and I've just looked right into it and really wished I hadn't. I can't see shit now. But Joe found that funny.
Sorry.
But basically, all that means is that it's just much more powerful, much brighter, and I can actually use that on my podcast set as well. So I've bought that with intention on using it on both, so that's really, really good. Now, I did make the mistake of buying the single colour, the 60D, instead of the 60X, which is bi-colour. Now, bi-colour doesn't refer to its sexuality, it refers to the fact it's two colour. So I can have one that can have the more tungsten colours there, or it can do the white light as well, at the expense of a little bit of brightness. But I didn't need all that brightness, so that was a sacrifice I was willing to make, even though I bought the wrong one, got the D only, but it's fine. But I was willing to make that sacrifice because even now, with this light being shown on me as a key light in flood mode, it's only on about 10%. And that's absolutely mental. Now, usually when you've seen me stream with this or recording with this, it's been on as low as 3%. So for my YouTube videos, they are going to be more than overkill. However, podcasts, when it's going to be competing with a lot bigger lights, that extra punch is going to be really handy. I'm going to be buying at least another 2, maybe 3 of those for the podcast set. So yeah, they're really cool lights. And like I say, it's got a flood and spot mode as well. So I'm currently using it in spot, which softens the light on my face. But I can quickly put it into flood mode and show you what it looks like there. So yeah, that's just kind of... We'll kind of like cut this here, and I'm going to quickly cut to a shot, which is this puts this in spot mode, just so you can see what it looks like. So this is the light on a much sharper mode. Now, if I looked right into this bulb now, I wouldn't see anything for the rest of my life. If you think being flashed is a good thing, not if you're getting flashed by this little thing, I'm telling you. Now, pardon me, this is the spotlight mode. This is where the harsh lights really come in strong, and this is how I usually use it. Obviously, it's not illuminating the scene, it's an accent light, so that when it catches the side of my head, it's going to really be a strong, sharp light. Whereas when it's softer, it's going to look a bit more, yeah, maybe it's not as subtle, because I can just dim it in the sharper mode, but it's a different effect, and I like the sharp mode when it's being used as a hair light. You will notice that it's white currently. Well, actually, let's just scrap that thought, and we'll put it back onto soft mode. Or flood mode, should I say. So yeah, we've got that back on the soft light there, which means I can kind of use it as, you know, a bit of both. It's a very versatile light, and obviously you're going to notice that it's white light on me, and I said it can't change colour. But it would be like, hang on, Craig, the examples you've shown, it's pure orange or red. Well, that's because I used gels. Now, one of the good things with, you know, having a bit of experience with work and seeing how certain gels modify light in certain ways, I can experiment with it, and then if I like it, I can go and buy it. Well, not from there, but I can buy some gels, and that's what I've done here. So I've got a set of CTOs, so by that, it's coloured temperature orange, and that's going to be the quarter, half, and 1. And those are like strength numbers. So basically, when I put the 1 on there, on top of the 5600K white base light there, it's about the Kelvin of about 3200, which is nice and warm. Can't obviously minimize that, can make it a bit more cooler with using the less stronger gels, but I kind of like the orange, kind of complements my ginger hair and my pathetic beard a bit, you know, when we're actually filming it. Because colour is key, especially on YouTube. Have you seen how people market to kids? Not saying I do, but people like colours, and that's the point I'm trying to make, okay? Need to put them cop lights on again. So that's the lights. So with the lights, we've got the just normal cheap stands, which I've got these on. When I get bigger lights, I'm going to need bigger stands, better stands. Like I wouldn't really want to use those soft stands on like the pup stands on a particular like podcast set. I would want to use like bigger C stands, and that way I can angle them a bit better as well. So instead of just being on an arm and being pointed, I can put them on one arm and then put them on another arm, offsetting it a little bit, and just do a few more creative things in that regard. So that's kind of my lighting setup currently. It's kind of come a very long way from just being lit up on screen, having one screen as just a white image, a white Word document, just to blow out some white light on us. We've now evolved and got all these lights. If you're wondering what this grid is, by the way, this is so that light doesn't spill. And a light spill is essentially where it'll make all of the background white and cover it all in that light. But I just want me to be affected by that light because one, it creates a lot more contrast on me. And when it's creating contrast on me from the background, my webcam can better detect where I am and where the chair is and what is the background. So when you see the green screen effect, or when you see the fact that I've got rid of the screen behind me, I don't actually have a green screen effect. That is the webcam doing that with its inbuilt technology, which is really cool. Now I've had that webcam a good while. I think it's a C320 something Pro. It's a Logitech one. It's big, it's posh, it's clever. Got it from China because it's the only place that stocked it. It was that popular at the time. But that's how I do the green screen effects. I use a mixture of NVIDIA Broadcast and this particular webcam, and it usually 9 times out of 10 removes the background flawlessly. So when you see just me with no like background in any stream or any video, it's a mixture of these lights, the technology on the webcam, and NVIDIA Broadcast, which is how I'm making that effect happen, which I think you guys will think is really cool. Now, I'm kind of obviously touching on the computer a little bit now. So let's talk about the computer. As you may have noticed, I am a bit of a PC enthusiast, and that's never going to change. Ever, ever, ever going to change. So we'll briefly talk about what's on my desk, and then we'll talk about what's inside the computer. So let's get right into that. So my lighting setup doesn't really change, whereas the PC setup does change depending on how I'm using the computer. So by what I mean by that is that these lights will typically do the same thing. We won't really have them on when I'm just recording and there's nothing going on in the background, unless I'm warming up for a game where I want to get used to having them on or getting like warmed up for a stream. But other than that, they don't change. But the way that I configure my PC does. So yeah, I usually when I'm just recording, I'll just have myself sat in the middle. I'll kind of have my screens moved along a little bit, and I'm nice and central to how stuff's going on. And I'll kind of, that's probably where I'm at my most comfortable as well. The microphone, which we'll talk about later as well, it's not as steep of an angle, so I'm able to control it a little bit better in terms of the audio quality when I'm just passively recording, which is really nice. But when I'm streaming or I am recording, like as in recording my face, I will then move everything slightly to my left. That way the webcam gets the best image of me. That way the lights get the best, the best pictures on me as well. So I kind of shimmy a little bit across the desk depending on what setup I have as well, which is fine because I'm on this chair, which I don't really like. I do want a new chair, but I don't know what chair to get. So if you do have a recommendation, do let me know in the comment section below, because this chair sucks ass. Literally, it's sucking me in, and then not in the comfortable way either. So yeah, that's kind of how I will play and have different setups for the PC. When I'm recording on OBS, I'll have one profile which is used for recording, like color profile, recording profile. When I'm streaming, I'll dumb down the recording profile and I'll have like a different color profile going on as well, just so I don't absolutely murder my PC specs. Speaking of my PC specs, what are they? Let's talk about it. Bloody hell, let's jog my memory. It's been a little while since I upgraded it. Last time I upgraded it, I had Hexy record a bunch of footage and never even used it in the end, but essentially we had to fix a hard drive. I ended up putting in some lights as well, which was fun because they didn't want to work initially, but they do now. As you can see, my PC is in the Christmas light configuration: the red, the green. In summer, it goes blue and orange. That nice little, Michael Bay look transformer. It's like, ooh, look at this contrast, super, super, super good. I like that. I like that stuff too. The keyboard, RAM, and the motherboard are all on the same program, which means I changed the light for one, changes the light for all, which is really good. But that's not the specs. The specs, now that I've remembered and jogged my memory while I was waffling on, I am rocking a Ryzen 3600X, I think, or was it 3700X? What's it?
3900X.
It's a 3900X.
Yes.
I paid for that.
Yes.
Shit! Did you not try and talk me out of that?
I tried to talk you out of that.
And I still bought it anyway.
Yes.
Sounds like me. 3900X, apparently. Great. It actually is, because, yeah, I remember that conversation now, because I was going to get a 3700X, but I thought, it's only 60 quid more. I might as well. Why not? So, I did. So, yeah, obviously I got a nice motherboard to match as well. It's an Asus one. I don't know exactly which one it is, but it's obviously the nice Asus one. Or was it Republic of Gamer one? Or was it the same thing these days? Either way, it's like the nice Republic of Gamers one, the high-end one that goes with that motherboard. For if I'm going to have a high-end CPU, I want a high-end motherboard to go with it, so I can overclock it a little bit, which I did. And the overclock's subtle, not much. It's only like 5%, nothing silly, nothing major, but good enough. I'm also using that with a Be Quiet Pro Rock 3. Is that what it is, Joe?
I don't remember.
It's basically that thing, which I bought an additional fan for. Now, that's really cool, literally. So what it does is it keeps my CPU nice and cool, especially when I'm playing on, especially when I'm streaming, recording, and playing games at the same time. My CPU temperatures never go above 70, and that's really, really, really good for the longevity of the system, because I don't really like upgrading CPUs if I can help it. I'd rather keep that financial capital for a graphics card or other upgrades that I need, as like lights, microphone, graphics cards, stuff like that. So when I get a CPU, I want one that's going to last a good 5-6 years. So I can't afford to change my graphics card every couple of years, or the way I've been going the past few years every year. Not important, but what is important, the graphics card in here currently is a GTX, no, you know, it's not GTX, it's an RTX 3070. And this was one that I went to Wales for, if you remember that video. Went down to Wales to pick it up because it was at MSRP. Now, the trek from Newcastle to Wales is a good 3.5 to 4 hours. Absolutely worth it, even with the travel, like, and the time and the money and fuel. I got that graphics card. By the time I sold me 2 graphics cards before that, it was basically a free upgrade, even considering the cost of fuel. So, absolute no-brainer. Had to kind of faff on and sell some stuff. Don't get us wrong, I even sold those graphics cards at really cheap prices. The 2060 I had at the time, bear in mind the 40 series wasn't out. I think it was a 2060, or was it 2070?
2070 Super.
2070 Super, was
I have it.
Yeah, you have it. Like, I could have sold that for like 450 quid, but I sold it for more than half than that. So, you know, I'm just a nice guy. Donnie, Queen D, she's got the 1070, which was in Joe's PC before he got that one. Again, wasn't really going to sell her that one, because it was always going to be a temporary one while she saved it for our own, but she ended up buying that off me anyway. So that kind of, by the time those two things I put together, kind of paid for the new card outright. I didn't need to sell the cards for it to pay for itself, but it kind of did, so not going to complain there. I'm using a 750 watt power supply. I think it's a Cooler Master, semi-modular. No, it's fully modular, and it's decent. As you can see, I've got the RGB power supply cables on there too, which is nice. Again, it was kind of an impulse buy when I was fixing my hard drive this time last year. Sorry, not sorry. So yeah, actually, I'm going to play you a little clip on screen now of my reaction when I impulse bought those cables. Get myself over to Computer Orbit, which is on the far side of Gateshead, and then I'm going to get myself some braided cables, power and graphics card, and I'm going to slide my way through this bus here, oi oi. And yeah, we're just going to kind of update the aesthetic of the build as well, but mainly that hard drive, and we'll do that now. I did it again. What you got? I went in there with the idea I'm going to spend 30-40 quid on cables and it'll be mint. I only spent 140 quid, haven't I? But the bag was free. So we're going to get something to eat. We'll get back and we'll show you what's in the bag. I told you about this, Alan! Moving on to the rest of the computer, we've got 32 gigs of RAM. This initially started at 8 when I started the YouTube channel, but gradually I built it up from 16 and then I had 16 and I got 32, and then I bought another set of 32, not to make 64, no, but to get RGB on the RAM. You're goddamn right. So that basically meant now I had RAM for days. So with RAM for days, I basically just shelled it out. Some went in Danielle's computer, some I think at one point went in Dale's computer, though I might be wrong. A bunch of it's been in Hexy's partner's girlfriend at one point, and then obviously he fully kitted out that computer. I think I got that back. And then some RAM. My RAM's just everywhere. Like, I am the Genghis Khan of RAM. Honestly, that seed is just spread everywhere. Like, everyone in when Leighton feels like has some RAM that I've owned at one point, right? Okay. So my problem with this is that when people say, "Oh, Craig, I've got this computer part for you. Oh, Craig, I've got my own RAM. I can give it back to you." I'm at the point now where I'm like, "I gave you RAM, did I? The hell if I know." So yeah, I'm now officially out of RAM in a good way. Like, I either know where it all is, or to everyone who I've lent it to, I've just said, just fucking keep it. Like, I'm fine. It's impossible for me to keep track of all this stuff. So, I'm not going to keep track of all this stuff. You guys just keep it. A few £100 worth of RAM. Actually, probably £300 to £400 worth of RAM, because most of it was bought when there was a RAM crisis before COVID. So, it's fine. I'm not going to use it, so it's fine. 16 gigs worth of RAM. 32 gigs of RAM, 216 sticks, RGB, most importantly, and that's where I'm at with this particular RAM. And again, it's the same colour as my keyboard and mouse mat and all that stuff. Next in the computer we will talk about is the case. This is a Fractal Design Define R4, is it?
R5.
It's an R5.
Yeah.
So the reason I keep asking Joe is because Joe's here when I bought most of this stuff. Like,
The only reason I remember that is because the R6 is an E80X.
correct. You see, I knew it was good having Joe here. By the way, Joe set up all the camera and the sound and all this stuff. Like, credit to him. So make sure you hit like for Joe. So yeah, in terms of that, that's kind of what it is. I have got, obviously, a glass case, which was released a couple of years later. It started off with just the normal soundproof panel. Then it was a plastic acrylic case, which got really mucky easily. It was hard to clean. And then I got, like, a nice glass panel there, which is, it's just so nice. That looks so much better. I did make a video when I upgraded that as well, because I think I put in the CPU cooler at about the same time. And it's just so nice. Like, just makes the computer look so much better. I've also an embarrassment of riches when it comes to hard drive space. So I had hard drive space before I did YouTube, and the reason I did that was because I was self-employed in like the film and TV scene. So mainly corporate stuff, filming a lot of 2K, 4K footage, which filled up hard drives quickly. And I'm the kind of guy that doesn't like throwing away footage. I'm sorry, no one's perfect. I'm no exception. I can't delete rushes after I've made a project. I just keep them. I don't know why. It's like hard to let go. So I've always been that way inclined. So I've always had at least like a 4 terabyte system. With the YouTube channel and constantly recording in 2K, constantly recording streams, podcasts, 8 memory, like there's no tomorrow as well when we were doing a lot of them. I think I'm sat on about 25 terabytes of storage right now. A lot of it is external. Granted, I think there's about 8 terabytes inside and the rest is all external. And I'm actually running out of room on the externals now, which means I'm going to need even more externals at a certain point. So look forward to that. I do have a lot of personal space, so like I kind of have it all separated. I've got like footage that's being used, done projects that are still in the pipeline. I use one hard drive for rushes, which is an SSD. I use another one to store games, another one for personal stuff like like films, music that totally unpirated, and other bits and pieces. Just like documents, CVs. I don't know what documents do we keep on what computers these days. Probably on that personal drive. Yeah, backups of personal stuff, backups of everything else. Yeah, we have a saying, especially if you do like a media course, like if you don't have three copies of something, just expect you have no copies of something. So we usually have at least 2 of like stuff that's not important on here, and I do have 3 copies of stuff that is a bit more important on here, like asset folders, like general intros, like animations, graphics, stuff like that. So the important stuff we keep 3 of. Now we'll move on to the next part of the computer, which is the keyboard. I believe it's a Corsair K95. It's very nice. It's a really nice keyboard. I bought this when Rue was with me because Rue's keyboard died and it was my spare keyboard. Again, another Corsair one. It had been battered for about 10 years, bear in mind. And my keyboard had also kind of went at the same time. That was a Cooler Master one, I believe it was. I'm not 100% sure what it was.
No, I think that one's a Cooler Master one. The low profile one?
No, this one's a Corsair.
Is it?
But I think the Cooler Master one was the one beforehand because it didn't have the numpad on it, I remember.
I thought you had a Corsair K70 before.
Yeah, that was the one that Rue had, which
Right.
I gave to Rue, and then Rue's died. So, well, I say
right.
Rue's, mine died. So when Rue was like looking for his keyboards and one that he could replace his with, it got me looking into what I could use mine with, because the one I had as well was a Cooler Master keyboard. I was having issues with it, wasn't what I wanted to be, so I thought, well, I might as well buy myself one.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
not?
Oh yeah, that was the one you hated, wasn't it?
That was the one I hated, that's right. So, yeah, I thought, why not? And then I bought a 200 quid keyboard. Don't judge me, okay? It was locked down, had nothing to spend my money on, and for once I actually had a job which was permanent. I mean, I do now, but I had a job that was permanent at the time, which was good. I was on furlough as well, so I wasn't actually working for that money. It was fantastic. So yeah, we all bought things we shouldn't have in the COVID era. My mouse is a Corsair G602. I love this mouse. I've had two of them now.
It's Logitech.
Shit, what did I say?
You said Corsair. It's
Oh.
a Logitech G602.
Good catch. My mouse, it is a Logitech G602. I was going to say 402 there. Basically, it's got all the buttons on here. It's got loads of macros, and it just means I can do all sorts of stuff with inbuilt sensitivity, like mapping. So these buttons, essentially with software, I can save them to the mouse, so I can put them on another computer. I mean, I don't, but I could. And yeah, this is just my go-to mouse. When this mouse dies, I will get another one. It's that good. Corsair mouse mat as well. Got it for the crack. Why not? Another furlough purchase. Joe's shaking his head. And yeah, we'll kind of talk about my audio now. My audio, it's pretty simple. It's a Rode. Let me have a look. It's an NT1. They said NTG1, but that's the microphone on that. So it's a Rode NT1 with an AI1 amp, which is really, really good. Essentially, it just means that I can obviously have my XLR microphone plugged in. It's got a really low noise floor as well, so it floor. So it's not going to pick up any background noise or as much background noise, which if you're like a pre-100 subscriber, you know the issues we had with that before we got these mics. And it was basically a gift from Mike with an Audio Technica. That is still here. I do need to officially buy that off him at one point, but it's still there. And yeah, like I then decided to obviously upgrade the microphone and make the most of it, and love it. I love my Rode microphones. I've got nothing to say. Bit of a Rode fanboy and a bit of a Bose speaker fanboy. Speaking of the speaker, that's what I've got here. So if I'm not recording or streaming, I'll unplug my headset, and that'll bring sound through the speakers. And the second I plug my headset back in, turns off the speakers and puts them through the headphones. I don't have to do anything for that. It's just nice. It's smooth and it sounds good. Shit XLR cable on that, but that's fine. It came with the component, and actually, to be fair to Rode here, they do provide like a blue little rubber mount thing which you stick to the XLR cable when you're popping it inside the mic, and it actually grips it really well. So I've made that change like last week, and I've not had any issues since, which is really, really encouraging. The desk as well is also another contribution by Mike. Very, very helpful. When I say contribution, yes, I did buy it off him, but I bought it off him for a significantly cheaper price than what it was going for. Like, I think the desk's like 150 quid. He like gave us it for 30. So, you know, like, I can't thank him enough for that. Really helped us in the early days. Got me a little dot there. I'm going to say the A word, the Amazon one. That's really good. I don't really use it for much, but if Trojan knows that I'm on me speakers and not me headphones, he will tell it to do stuff, and it is really annoying really quickly. But that's absolutely fine. Any more useful things on here? Not really. Got me mounts or me monitors. The monitors, we can talk about them actually. So in the middle we have got a, what is this monitor? It's 2K basically, 1440p in other words, 144 hertz, which means I get to play games in those juicy frames. And the other two monitors either side of it are just 1080p monitors, but with decent colour output. Not fantastic. BenQ one and ViewSonic one. They're not brilliant, but they're decent. Well, actually, the BenQ one is actually decent. But yeah, they're not fantastic. I would like to kind of overhaul this at some point in the future, but it's not really something that I'm going to do right now because I've got lights to buy, I've got a camera to buy. That's not my camera. I've then got obviously the studio to sort out for the podcast because I think there's a big audience for that. And obviously I can do more videos like this as well when I've got all that kind of gear too, which is excellent. Yeah, so that's like that kind of area of the setup. What I want to do going forward, briefly talking about the lights going forward, so I'll not hassle you with that again. I want a podcast studio lighting setup with 3 cameras, sound and all to boot as well. But I do want to upgrade the computer. I'm going to upgrade the computer. With the computer, I am going to be upgrading that 3070. Now, before any of you pull any faces, that means that someone will be getting that, and I probably won't charge them for it, or if I do, it'll be at a very, very, very heavily discounted price. So, yeah, but to do that, I'm going to need a power supply. Looking at the item I'm going to buy, I'm going to... Looking at the item I'm going to buy, I'm probably going to need a bigger case. Definitely need a new power supply. So I'm going to be sorting that out as well, because I'm going to I want to be able to play everything at like really high resolution and at really high frame rates. So if I can do that, we're going to be doing that, because it's not just my play now that it affects. It's also the quality of the stuff you see on YouTube. So I do consider that to be an investment for the gameplay videos, which is fine. Joe, you're unmute. Speak. He knows what the
You're
upgrade
going
is.
for a 4090.
Haven't said I definitely am, but I probably am. Mate, it's going to take months and months to save up for it, in all fairness. So I can justify that cost, okay?
Okay.
Well, I can't justify that cost.
It's probably going to be 50 series by the time you save up enough.
Alright. Shit on my parade, why don't you?
Sorry.
But, yeah, that's the setup. I've got my little red notebook down there. Oh, the most important thing in this room, right? It's an advent calendar. If you do not get these off your parents or your carers at the age of 28, they don't love you. So I've got one of these off. My mum, my dad. They're separated, so I get one each of them, which is nice. And the technical mother-in-law, even though I'm not married to her, like, still got one off her as well. So absolutely buzzing, because last year I got none and I was foaming. This year I've got 3. So absolutely love that shit. And I wish you could see how that landed. Look how that landed, Joe. It's landed stood up. That's class.
I think you broke the audio there for a second.
Probably. I'm sorry. It's a feature of this channel by now, with me punching microphones and all that shit. So it's absolutely fine. This video has gone on for a lot longer than I thought it would, but you know what? It has been an absolute hoot, hasn't it? Just making the most of having this camera set up, making the most of this lighting setup, even though that is blinding to all hell, and we're good. So if you do enjoy videos like this and you want to see more of them, please make sure you hit that like button below. Consider subscribing if you're new here. If you're new here and watching like this video for the first time, this is not what it's usually like, I promise. We do gameplay stuff, I promise. This is like not the norm, but I would like it to be at some point soon. So guys, thank you very much for watching to the end. If you have watched to the end, make sure you let me know in the comments below as well. And yeah, let's get 650 subscribers. Let's just get there. Let's just bang that out. Why not? I think it can be done. I'm a couple of days behind, actually. I think I'm going to have one. Do you want one?
No.
Oh shit. Oh, waste not, want not.
Craig.
What's your day today? That's 10. I'm fucking 3 behind. I love shit like this, mate.